Saluto a tutti.
Ciao tutti, welcome back to the AJC. It's game day and everybody a little bit weary about this one, but I think it's going to be okay. Juve gets set to take on Lecce and obviously what has to be a rebound from the brutal weekend. Just me so far. However, we're just waiting for Omer's arrival. Everybody going to take a second to say ciao to everyone in the live chat. So Tony Trim, ciao brother, ciao Alex, ciao. We got Mohammed. Morning. I'm not flying solo for long though, Alex. Don't worry. We'll bring in Omar. He's just getting set and getting ready to join. All right, man. I tell you, after the debacle against Sassuolo, it's ugly out there. It is ugly out there on social media. It's ugly out there in even group chats. I'm part of the Vancouver fan club one, and it's just thoughts on this team, analysis, breakdowns, whatever you want to call them, they are all over the place. We just continue to go through this circle where we ask essentially the same type of questions of these players, of this coach. But for me, I took a lot of heat. For what I said after the Sassuolo match, which was that I honestly do not put a lot out of that one on Max Allegri, and I took some heat for it, but I still stand the same. These players at the end of the day are the ones making those brain dead decisions. I did say I'd go a step further, and whether it's Max or not, that I can't speak to because I'm not behind closed doors. But I do question the preparation. I question the training. I question what happens in a week. And those that believe that it's not an advantage not playing in Champions League, I'm just not buying it. Here's Mirko Vucinic today. Vucinic speaking about it and saying, yeah, not playing every 3 days, they should be full of energy and raring to go each and every game. I just didn't see it against Sassuolo. It was flat. And another reason why I kind of give Max the pass on that one is he took so much heat for a while now about constantly changing lineup. How do we gain chemistry? He keeps changing players and whatnot. He went out with the exact same team. This is the exact same group of players that put in that shift against Lazio, which was a solid performance. He put the exact same lineup in, which everybody was saying, why don't you start leaving lineups the same? And they fell flat on their face with essentially only Federico Chiesa putting in a good shift. I'll give McKennie that as well. He did. That game was not on Max in my personal opinion. Also, tactics, whatever, that was not an issue against Sassuolo. We were able to move the ball around. We were able to get up and get opportunities and whatnot, but these guys just choked. They choked. Okay? Now, furthermore, we'll get into this, but these blackouts that Juve's been going through are not standalone to Max Allegri and his return. This goes back to Pirlo's season. This goes back to second half of Sarri's season. These blackouts continue to happen. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this is going to be the hardest thing, but how do you fix that? How do you fix this team that every time, that momentum comes in, they just fall flat on their face? How do you correct that? People say it's the quality on the pitch. For me, it's finding that continuity and the consistency. How do you do that? Well, everybody's got their own theory to it. We'll tackle it more once Omer gets here. But I tell you, when you look at a game with that amount of goals that are gift wrapped and tactics aren't an issue, setups not an issue, personnel shouldn't be an issue based on playing once a week, it's hard for me to go at Max on that Sassuolo game. It really is. But this team's got they claim that they don't have leadership issues, but I actually believe they do. And you can't have guys fading in and out of strong performances that quickly. Especially, what's the excuse? Before, we would say, okay, these guys are fatigued. They're playing too much. You need to rotate more. That excuse is gone. So what is it? What is it that when you play once a week, you can't go out there and actually have the heart, actually have the green, to actually have the balls to get after it? We went 2-2 in that game. 2-2 in that game to Sassuolo. Okay? And my frame of mind, my mentality is, okay, let's get after it. Let's get the ball. Let's make this last 10 minutes living hell for Sassuolo. These guys instead shelled up and were not capable of getting that ball back from Sassuolo and putting them under. Instead, they go and concede. And concede, in my opinion, preventable goal. I don't think they're there. I don't think they're there mentally, to be honest. And I don't know how you change that now other than quality. The belief is not there in these players. If I'm outside looking in, I don't think they have that belief. Okay? And as far as Max, like, what I'm saying is also not defending Max in any way, shape, or form, or taking him away from accountability. Okay? So let's make that clear. I think there are some things, and a coach's influence can't be denied or overlooked. And we might be seeing that elsewhere around the league. Because if we continue to say it is strictly only the players, well, that's not true. Because it's all of them. It is all of them. Because a coach's influence cannot be overlooked. Because I had this argument yesterday with someone and he said, no, it is 1,000% all in the players. This team cannot compete for the Scudetto without 6 to 7 additions. And I said 6 to 7 additions to just compete for the Scudetto. I do not buy that. I'm not buying that. And again, if I look at some of these rosters, we are not that far off. Okay? If I look at Inter's roster and 2/3 of their midfield are made up by Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not buying it. But what they do on the pitch is drastically different in terms of operation versus what we do. And it plays to their strengths. It plays to their abilities. But I'm sorry. I'm not buying that. Like, Çalhanoğlu has been an okay player his entire career, and that's about it. Mkhitaryan? Are we talking about that? Like, we've got to start realizing it's not that bad. And as far as a coach's influence go, look at Napoli. That might be the prime example of how much a coach's influence can have and whatnot, because you have a team that's got essentially the same group of players. And it is night and day what they're doing over there compared to last season. Sense of belief in the players, what they're doing, where is it? They're stumbling. And with them, there's a little bit of a shift because the expectations have increased based on winning last year. But it's all situational. But still, I think attitude and whatnot, it's not transferring over maybe from Max. Max is saying the right things. We go to training sessions, Max is saying he wants them foot on the throttle, whatnot, but for whatever reason, it's not translating, and that part is the players. And that's why I say it's all involved. But I don't know how you correct this. And quality, obviously, you get a boost in quality. It's going to help with the roster. But again, until that happens, what goes on? How do we fix this? How do you set this standard? For me, I think Max has to be more ruthless with the starting lineup decisions. And today we'll talk about starting lineup for Lecce and if he's going to make changes. But for me, when Tech goes through that, you've got a team that's going to be battling for minutes anyways. Minutes are going to be scarce, only playing in Serie A. That's the opportunity to start setting the tone, setting the standard for where you need these guys to be, match in, match out. And I think that could be an opportunity missed with Tech there. It sounds like he's going to make a change with Gatti. I would have done one with Szczesny. That's just me, okay? But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. We're going to get to some comments here and whatnot and get into this here. How is Weston McKennie doing as he was on loan at Leeds United? Weston's actually been playing as a right wing back, and to be honest, he's been doing a good job. Last game, I said he was one of the 2 players that actually put in a good shift. Weston McKennie, Federico Chiesa, and actually Fagioli off the bench, and Fagioli set to start today. And another opportunity like it was last season for Fagioli to kind of cement himself back in that starting lineup for Juventus. So we will see what develops here. We need to get players on more testosterone. That will help. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you just need a little humor to get through the tough times and whatnot. Now, I will say this. The frustrations that took place against Sassuolo, I honestly do believe the best thing about it is the fact that we get to play immediately. I think the longer this would have went on, probably the more difficult it would have been for the team. The more you have time to think about matches like that and what went down and raise that level of doubt perhaps, which hopefully is not the case, but the longer that lingers around, it proves to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm happy that at least we can play immediately and just get into it. So as far as news, we will take a look at some of the news floating around with Juventus, and I'm going to be quite honest here. A lot of jokes here, another case potentially with money owed to agents for jobs done previously and whatnot. Like, the whole thing sounds ridiculous because if they did jobs previously and they weren't paid, okay, what difference does it make if Juventus is paying them now? So that's kind of what's going around right now, and that's a thought process behind a lot of the initial reactions. What does it matter if a job was performed now, they're paying them? I think the issue is that if that's incorporated in certain moves, it needed to be on the books during that period. I think that's where the issue lies. The media did not do a good job in terms of bringing all this up. But to be honest, I'm not really concerned about it. It's one thing after another, and I'm starting to detach myself from the nonsense. And let's wait till a little more steam picks up on that. But that just kind of shot out there yesterday out of nowhere. As far as the news today, it is really all based around Max Allegri, what he's going to do with these players, what the lineups are going to be, who's going to end up being a starting role, and essentially still the blackout talks, leaders, quality and whatnot. You have other players weighing in from the past, Lecce, Vucinic. We brought up a little bit from Vucinic earlier. It's anybody's guess, but the standard has dropped. And naturally, that can happen with just the lack of quality, or as quality in the roster drops off, poor contingency planning. But make no mistake about it, Juve was very poor with their resources during the decade of dominance. I talked about this a lot as we were coming out the back end of that 9-year reign with Scudetto supremacy in Serie A. I said, this team, the roster, it does not reflect a team that has pulled that much money out of Champions League and continuously winning domestically. It's just, the roster did not reflect it. Then they got stung by COVID. Juve used to always operate in the red and be okay with it and still balance things out. Well, you got stung when you operate in red. COVID hits. There goes your revenue. Boom, perfect storm hits. And now Juve seemingly hasn't recuperated properly. Not yet anyways. So we'll end up seeing what goes down. And all we can do is be patient. These guys, again, it's going to take some time. I want to talk about the words Max Allegri says, because this comes up continuously. All the time this comes up, and it's Max says this, Max says that about top four, only reaching top four. This is a big one right now because that's exactly the kind of words that gets everybody fired up. Mirko Vucinic talked about it today, and he says, look, at Juventus, you have to aim for winning. You always have to aim for winning. And talking about top four is irrelevant, especially when you're not playing in Champions League and whatnot. Like, top four is just a must. That's a bare minimum. Mirko Vucinic says it's not like an actual objective. I agree. And when I defend Max in last game, saying that I don't put really anything on him for that game, I'm not saying that I back those types of words, that type of message and whatnot. Now, everybody's looking at it in one manner though, and I actually and say, how could you like being a player for Max Allegri when he says things like that, whatnot? Max, in my personal opinion, has been babying and protecting these players. And if these players should actually love Max Allegri when it comes to the protection they get in the media. That's my honest opinion. He's babying them, okay? He has always protected. He's always tried to deflect pressure and whatnot. He is babying the players, okay? The other thing is, I'm kind of in between, because I think you need to truly take on it's almost like this fear of failure, fear of calling it a failure. And maybe a big part of it is for himself as well, but probably for the players too. Especially having a lot of young guys around, going through transitional, going through a rebuild team. And to be honest, probably babying and protecting them for what? A weak mentality. A weak mentality that these players have shown time and time again. Before he's returned, some of these guys are repeat offenders. So, for me, he's babying and protecting them. Is that the right thing? Is that the right approach? Is that what he should be doing? Given that, we're trying to reestablish this mentality. You know what? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. But there's a risk in going the opposite direction too. There's a big risk in going the opposite direction as well. Because if he challenges these guys, if he truly does, and he starts saying, okay, we're going to embrace this. Yeah, we need to get after that. What happened against Sassuolo should never happen again. I'm making changes to the lineup immediately because, no, we have to establish a standard. Some of these guys might drop off entirely. And we're going to need all hands on deck through the season, even with one competition and whatnot. But maybe, just maybe, this route has to happen. But it does carry some risks. And although there are some risks there, like players not reacting the way you want, and then what? Then what happens? Well, you'd have to address that, but it could go sideways. For me, I would rather him accept the objectives, the clear objective, which is to be in that race, to attack for the Scudetto. And to be honest, force these guys, some of these guys, into being men, okay? And I'm not going to take shots at any of the players directly here, but I will say it's time to stop babying these guys. And it's time to put up or essentially shut up. And Juve needs to learn who they have, because you're going to need men. You're going to need men to reestablish what Juve is all about. And if they're not ready for it, well, let's find out sooner rather than later, and let's get the ball rolling. Okay. I also don't want a coach that goes out there, blasts his players publicly after every game and whatnot. So there's a fine line on how you do it. But this fear of failure or whatnot has to go away. Has to go away. It's time to stop babying these guys. It's time to stop protecting them. It's time to just acknowledge what the game plan is, what the objectives are, because everybody else knows it. And I've talked about this for a couple weeks. Our rivals know what we're trying to do, what the aim is. You can sit there, you could say whatever you want in front of the cameras, but everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And the second that these guys got acknowledged for it in the media, they put out another blackout. Things have to change. Things have to change. And maybe, just maybe, you gotta pressure him. I think Max should be a little ruthless with the starting lineup. We'll get to the starting lineup for Lecce and whatnot. But we'll take a look at it and see what will happen over time. 5 games, everybody, doesn't establish a trend, okay? However, if we look at 4 years, that establishes a trend. And the blackouts are concerning. They are concerning. We'll see if they can get it right and what can happen. But we need men. We need men, and these guys need to stop being babied, okay? So Max is not doing this to enrage fans, to troll fans. He's been protecting and babying these guys, and it's time for these guys to man up. It's time for these guys to sack up and get after it, okay? Because me, if I was in that locker room, if I was one of those players, I wouldn't want him going out there and babying us and protecting us all the time. It'd be sad that a coach has to do that. So these players also have to take a long look in the mirror and get their shit together, everybody. That's what I think, okay? That's how I truly, truly feel. So when I say something about one game that is marred by individual errors, left, right, and center, okay? That is not a defense of Max Allegri. That is not a defense of Max Allegri, but it's calling it what it is. In the grand scheme of things, Max Allegri still has to change, I think, himself to get more out of these guys, but maybe, just maybe, they can't. Maybe, just maybe, this roster is incapable. Hey, there are some that believe that as well. I think it's a bit of everything. We will see what happens. We will see what happens, everybody. As far as Lecce goes, well, this is going to be a tricky one. How's everybody feeling about their confidence level going into this one? How's everybody feeling out there? You guys feeling okay today? You think Juve's going to do well? Are you a little nervous about it? Lecce's kickstart, they're 1 point more than Juventus. Okay, so they're sitting on 11 points. Juve sitting on 10. Lecce found a way against Genoa. Genoa was down to 10 men in the matchup on the weekend. I think they got the red somewhere around the 33rd minute, somewhere around there. And hey, it took Lecce till the 83rd minute, I believe, to break through, and it was a long-range effort from Udan that actually took a deflection to beat the keeper. Lecce, their kickstart this season, but I mean, if you watch them play, it's nothing spectacular, okay? It's nothing spectacular by any means. But what they're doing is finding ways to get results. They're playing very, very simple, very, very basic, okay? They did play 4-3-3. They have been playing 4-3-3, but they just take whatever is there for them, and that's playing smart. That's playing smart. If they have to take the flanks, try and cross in or try and narrow up towards the end and work some 1-2s, they'll do that. If the flanks are taken away, they got to get through the middle. Well, then they'll send numbers in tight and try to create a little havoc. Like, they're not doing anything spectacular by any means. But what they're doing is finding results and getting off to a great start for themselves. I will say this. As far as keeping it simple and taking what they have, they are not afraid to shoot, and they will shoot from anywhere. If their players have a line of sight from 30 yards out, they'll take that hit. So, yeah, exactly. Like, when I say they will take what's given to them, I can't stress that enough, because they don't care from where that's at. They will take hits. So, Lecce, this could be an interesting one, but overall, if you look also at the schedule and difficulty of opponents, and factor in that when you're actually watching them play, the results are great to look at. It's not a super tough feat that they're at to get to this spot with these amount of points. Okay, if you're looking at their schedule, obviously just being Genoa 1-0, and I don't think they look good in that one. They drew Monza 1-1, but Monza is actually playing decent, at least in terms of creation in attack. Salernitana with a 2-0 victory. Lecce defeating them. Salernitana is still winless this season. Salernitana had an opportunity to get a win against Frosinone this past weekend and actually pumped them with opportunities and couldn't come away with a victory. Lecce did draw 2-2 against Fiorentina, but Fiorentina is hit and miss. The win against Lazio 2-1, you would think big win, but to be honest, the way Lazio has been playing this season, this even goes back to us. Maybe beating Lazio is just not so big right now because they are looking rough, to be quite honest. So, hey, take this for what it is. I expect with this and looking at the difficulty of opponents, looking at how Lecce actually play and needing a reaction, being at home, I expect Juve to get after this and come out and get the job done and do so in a pretty strong fashion. Okay, that's what I expect. And again, this is where we will learn more and more about the mentality of this team, where they sit mentally, because yeah, a team that's looking to bounce back, a team with the aspirations that we should be having about a top 2 race and whatnot, needs to come out, set the tone early in this one, and take it to Lecce. We will see they're capable and what they can do. Ciao to JSKP here joining in there. Faisal, ciao. Thank you for dropping in here. Everybody take a time and drop a like here, and let's get into it. It's been 3 days I don't see news about Juve. I'm not going to watch a game today because I don't want to go and get another TV or break my phone, but I hope they win. Listen, it should never get to that point, but hey, I understand. I understand the frustrations, okay? But as far as Lecce goes today, I'm feeling overall, for the most part, pretty confident, everybody. I think we will be okay. All right? Talk about this game. We talked about Lecce, kind of upstart there and whatnot. Juve, hey, let's see what they're going to bring. The Ultras will not be at the stadium today, but they will be back for the Derby della Mola. And this is apparently all according to plan. There was rumors about somebody getting fined for standing on a railing while cheering and whatnot, and if that's true, the whole thing's kind of laughable and whatnot, but they need to stop. They really need to stop. Juve really needs to look at figuring things out, but they are going to take their stand again, the Ultras, after the Derby della Mola, and not be returning until they're given the same luxuries that we give to away sector fans, okay, and that Ultras are allowed all around the league. Give them the flags, the banners, etc. If we don't give them that back, they are not returning, okay? So no Ultras today, which is a shame. Back for the Derby della Mola, and then gone. So we will see what happens, but I think everybody, I think I speak for everybody when I say the atmosphere against Lazio it doesn't need to be. It needs to be at that standard all the time. We have to correct this. However, let's see what Juventus is willing to do. Nice little olive branch extended by the Ultras to at least come back and show that they care, they want to be a part of it, whatnot, and they're asking for those luxuries that we offer to away sector fans. They're not even getting into the tickets and the pricing and all that and whatnot. It's literally just let us come back and have what we want for banners, flags, drums, and etc. Come on, we got to sort this out. It's a no-brainer if you're allowing the away sector to do it. How on earth are you not allowing your faithful? Sort it out, Juve. Come on. Now, Lecce, we talked about it, third in the standings, unbeaten in the league so far, and hey, if there was a time for them to come into our stadium and whatnot and try and take some points from us, it's off the back of what happened to Sassuolo. Maybe some mental fragility, some doubt, some lingering after effects mentally for this team. Lecce is going to like coming into that with what happened on the weekend. It's going to be up to Juve to set the tone, like I said, do so early and push back and get after it. So we will see if they're able to do so. Lecce's expected in their 4-3-3, Falcone in net, Genri, Duba, Pongracic, Gallo across the back. Raffia, remember that name? Raffia, Ramadani, and Kaba in the middle, Strefezza, Kristovic, and Almqvist in attack for Lecce. Now for Juventus, the lineup from Romeo Agresti that he's put out as a projected is as follows, and it's going to be Tech in goal. We do have Rugani set to start with Bremer on his right, Danilo on his left. McKennie, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Cambiaso with Milik and Chiesa up top. So Keane had to be removed from the squad list. Keenan Yildiz inserted. Keane's having some issues with his shin. Milik gets a start. It was one of Vlahovic or Chiesa that was going to sit. We went over that in the daily update video yesterday after Max's press conference. I think Chiesa, based on his form, based on his play, and how crucial he is to us in terms of creating attack, he has to be in there in this game. Cambiaso, that's a good solid start. We knew that was why he probably didn't even get any minutes against Sassuolo as well, right or wrong. Sure, I could see some criticism for Max for not getting him in there, but here we go. Cambiaso gets to go in here, and McKennie, backing it up with McKennie. A lot of people thought that Weah would be in there. I agree with McKennie going in there. He's in form, and he's looking good out there. I'd keep it. So here we go. Jeremiah coming in here saying, Al, I'm not confident with 3 at the back. Okay. And what do you think, bro? You prefer us with 3 or 4 at the back? To be honest, I don't think the 3 at the back is the be-all, end-all, whether we're 3 or whether we're 4. I think there's questions. I think there's more questions if we go into a 4 at the back than there is with the 3. I think the 3 makes more sense. For Juve, and this is where I think when I started to talk earlier and allude about coach's influence, it goes a little bit deeper, and this is where I'm thinking and my thought process is. Sassuolo did do something great in terms of ruling out the regista. And when that happens, Juve needs to sort things out because they like to push forward with Metsalas. And it's been this kind of thing that fades in and out certain games. Certain games, the rotation in the middle is good and we could work around it. Last game against Sassuolo, however, it wasn't. But when the rotation was there, we didn't always take the options and the easy options and allow ourselves to work out of there nicely. And that was shown on the Berardi goal as Gatti bypassed Miretti, who had dropped in when Locatelli was completely ruled out. And he tries to force to Rabiot making a run there as a defender's draped all over him. And it's decision making like that. But what we need to do is prevent scenarios like that. We don't want Bremer, Danilo, or Gatti quarterbacking the play. We don't want that happening. So Juve's got to find alternatives when they were ruling out our regista to get somebody else on the ball. But they need to take that. And they need to figure that out. And if you're not going to go that route, you better be damn sure what you're doing is at least not going to hurt us and come back down our throats. Okay, so again, I think that is one of the big things is now going to that next level. But back 3, I actually think is better than a back 4 right now. The other thing is we haven't really locked that down per se. So to switch to something else right now, it's a little iffy, and I definitely wouldn't do it with the doubts and what happened with Sassuolo. I'd probably let it go. That's just me. I like Juve saying that is another problem that Juve has. Why they give what they want and they are not giving to our ultras the same treatment. What the fuck's going on with this? Hey, I can't speak to what's going on. That was an Agnelli thing. The rumors have been that Juve wants to correct things and kind of fix it. We can only speculate until we actually see what's going on. So it appears it might just be me solo for a bit here, everybody, but that's okay. We're going to have some fun. I'm just going to let them know I'm only going to be on for a little bit more. So just going to let Omer know it's all good. He probably got caught up at work a little bit longer than anticipating. And let's get into it now with some more Storm the Barn. Guys, keep the Storm the Barn coming. Alex P., and I really want Hans Nicolucci Caviglia. From what he's saying, he appears like a real gobo. Maybe the mentality we were looking for he might bring. To be honest, I'm not against it. And this is another reason why I have a little bit more leeway with Max. Okay, when I talk about earlier setting the tone and playing guys and not having any roster spot guaranteed. Definitely not in the starting 11. I think they should all have questions about whether they're going to start or not on bad performances. But he's might be a little bit handcuffed in certain areas. And if the impact is still not there, then and some of these guys cannot perform, or you're handcuffed in terms of a Regista. Now we're talking about Fagioli going back there, where I actually don't think I wouldn't prefer to see Fagioli there per se, but you're starting to experiment a bit too much. Ailing Jr. in the middle of the pitch and whatnot. Has Nicolucci Cavilla, I have no problem, but we still haven't seen it. We should see him, and I wouldn't mind seeing him as maybe that alternative to Locatelli, but all the points are crucial. All the points are important. Maybe we got to get up in a game and then bring him in earlier than just your late 10-minute cameo, and let's see what goes on with maybe a little bit still on the line in a game too. But I would like to see Hans Nicolucci Caviglia. He's intriguing to me, so I will agree with Alex there. And Matt saying, yes, I'd like to see Hans. 100% want to see Cambiaso tonight. Cambiaso should be in there, no issues. And the chemistry that him and Chiesa found immediately almost, and the way they click, it's very, very good. And I expect them to, be catalyst tonight against Lecce. Federico Chiesa, definitely the player to watch for Juventus without a shadow of doubt. Has to be Federico Chiesa. He's going to have to be crucial for us. So look for him to be very much involved, and hopefully he can have just as strong a showing as he did against Sassuolo. Some key stats going into this one. Juventus have scored at least 2 goals in 9 of their last 10 home matches against Lecce in all competitions. Juve have won their last 3 matches against Lecce in all competitions. Lecce unbeaten in the last 5 matches, obviously 5 to start the league. 13 goals have been scored in the last 6 matches between these two sides. Lecce have kept a clean sheet in 3 of their last 6 matches across all competitions. Look for that to end here. We're going to get to predictions, then I have a little bit of time for some Storm the Barn, okay? So let's get into predictions. I'll give you my prediction tonight. 2-1 victory from Juventus is what I'm going to go with, okay? So I think Juve is going to get the job done. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think Lecce is going to get an ugly one, okay? But Juve will see this one through. I do see us getting 2 goals. I do see Chiesa having a very, very strong showing, and we'll ultimately get the 3 points. I think despite it being a 2-1 scoreline, we'll be happy with the performance, and it'll be a good one for us and get back in the win column, okay? Another thing, Juve can't fall behind. So what Sassuolo, something we didn't talk about or whatnot, but it's been covered very, very well for a while now. Juve is dreadful when they go behind, okay? And we did so against Sassuolo, and I think with the record dating back to, and I have to check this, and that's what I'm trying to do right now, but I think this is over a couple of years now, that hang on a sec. Anthony had it listed and was talking about this the other day, and I was just shocked because we haven't talked about it a lot and haven't had to this season, which is great, until of course what happens with Sassuolo. But the record is actually staggering, okay? Actually staggering. So he's got it over here. From the start of last season to today in all competitions, when Juve goes down 1-0, their record is 1 win, 6 draws, and 16 losses. Staggering. Okay. That lone win was against Torino at home last season. So can't fall behind. I don't care who it is. Doesn't matter what the team is. Cannot fall behind. Okay. Cannot fall behind. Don't fall behind. We'll be okay today. All right. Swarit saying a brace coming for Federico Chiesa tonight. Absolutely. Hope so. And get your predictions in here. We got Jeremiah coming in saying 3-0 Juve to Lecce. Dushan 1. Rabiot with a brace. Attempts 16 on target 8. Man of the match. Rabiot needs a big game. He needs to pick things up and whatnot after last season. Staying here, whatnot. Being brought in as one of the leaders, needs to pick it up a little bit. Matt's going to stay optimistic in spite of last game. 2-0 Juventus. All right. And I agree 1,000% with Faisal here. Today's performance will speak volumes about the mindset of the group. Absolutely. We're going to be one of these works in progress as far as the mentality goes and whatnot. But Max has chosen to start Rugani, but he has still gone with Tech. So for me, that's partially setting the tone, not fully. I would have started Perin. That's just me. I would have started Perin 1,000% in this game to fully send that message. I think outside of those two guys, The other guy, like I said, they were not the only two bad players or bad performances in last game, but they were the two worst. You have to set the tone there. You don't have to get crazy and shift all other 6 players or whatnot that were on stinkers, but you got to set the tone with both of them, in my opinion. Jeremiah saying, do you think we have a mentality, system, or culture problem at the current Juventus? We seem to collapse against smaller offensive teams, especially. I think the mentality is definitely in question, 1,000%. I mean, to get blackouts to that degree, to that extent, you can't be battling or have the aspirations to battle for a title or at least be in top 2 and whatnot and come out with games like that where you gift wrap them to your opponent. 4 gifted goals. You can't have that. You can't have that and be serious about wanting to be a title contender. I don't care what league you're playing in. You can't do that. You can't gift games. And again, the mentality for me, 2-2 in that game with 10 minutes left. 2-2, the mentality needs to be that of a killer if you have those types of aspirations. I didn't see that at 2-2, okay? And the only one that showed me that was Chiesa in that game. So a lot of work in terms of the mentality. In the system, like I said, when they rule out the regista, we have to get better at finding alternatives, and we should not settle for having our backs try to quarterback the play because they can't. I don't want Gatti to try and quarterback plays. I don't want Bremer on the ball trying to quarterback plays. And Danilo, he's the best out of the 3 at it, but still, we have to find the alternatives and do better. So system needs work as well. Big time for me. Now, let's see what else we've got here. Oliver says, sorry to say, but we are more likely to draw or lose. No hope while the dinosaur's in charge. Oh my God, if we have lost hope, we have nothing. So I'm going to maintain the hope. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Do I think Yildiz should start if Chiesa needs a rest? So Chiesa is going to be starting in this match, but I have no problems with Yildiz playing there, and I would do that rather than go with our 2-striker setup. If we are going to go with a 2-striker setup, I think Keane needs to be one of those 2 out there. I would never do a Vlahovic-Milik combination. That's just me. But I think Keane would have to be one of the 2 to split those up. But I would absolutely be fine with Yildiz getting a start. I think it would have to be the right game too. Against a kickstart Lecce, I wouldn't do that. That's just me. And Oliver saying Yildiz reminds him of a young Del Piero. Wow. Maybe, just maybe. I can honestly say he has not reminded me of a young Del Piero. Okay, but that's not a knock by any means. Young Del Piero was something else. Vlahovic is looking to start off the bench today. Yes. Vlahovic is looking to start off the bench. I will give you the projected lineup one more time. We've got our predictions in, and I'm set to wrap up in a little bit here because, unfortunately, my 2 daughters are not doing very well. We've got a stomach bug that's run through the house. Now my wife is down as well. So we got to shut this thing down much earlier than I would have liked to. You guys know I like going an hour, sometimes hour 15, sometimes an hour and a half. I cannot do so today as my little ones are unfortunately under the weather, okay? Your probable lineup, this came from Romeo Gresti to face Lecce, was Szczesny, Danilo, Rugani, Bremer, McKennie, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Cambiaso, and Milik and Chiesa. All right. And thank you very much, everybody, for the well wishes for my daughters. Okay, really, really appreciate it, you guys. So yes, Vlahovic heading for the bench tonight. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tonight. Ryan says, I don't think we will have a win without the Ultras. They are the heart and soul for the stadium. I predicted a 1-1 draw and Chiesa will score. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends in a 1-1 draw. My scoreline was 2-1. I still remain hopeful because I'm wanting this push. Fessel coming in earlier saying we will learn a lot about this mentality, the mindset of this team. I'm without hope, like I said earlier, without hope, we have nothing. Okay, so I'm hoping that the frame of mind, the mentality, it takes a shift and they have the right approach for this one and take it to this team. Okay. Um, Again, I wouldn't be surprised with the 1-1, but I do think Juve will have a strong showing. Fagioli getting the nod here when he came on, he was a kickstart against Sassuolo. It wasn't enough, unfortunately, but he's I think he's ready now. I think it's kind of like a similar moment to last season when he came in with McKennie's injury and whatnot, and then he never looked back. Miretti started off better than him, but Fagioli had to come back from his collarbone. I liked what I saw from Fagioli. Very, very involved, eager to get onto the ball against Sassuolo, and keeping his teammates accountable, yelling at them for not running into spaces where they need to give him an option. I loved it. I want more from it from Fagioli, okay? I don't want the softness out of Fagioli that we'd see when something goes wrong and he gets teary-eyed or whatnot. I need that Fagioli. That one keeping his teammates accountable, eager to get on the ball, eager to drive us forward with Chiesa. I liked what I saw out of Fagioli. This one needs to be a big one for Nicolo Fagioli in the middle of the pitch for Juventus. I will have eyes on Fagioli in this game. Let's all hope he delivers. And I believe he will. I'm looking for a strong, strong match from Fagioli. Now, come on, Reno. Come on. How can you have hope? Especially, what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and, match in, match out, go on with this Allegri thing? It's not going to change. If you sit there and worry constantly about things out of your control, you're not going to be happy, okay? You're not going to be happy. Let it go. And to be honest, for everything that's happened so far this season, it's 5 games, and that thing against Sassuolo, I stand behind it, I'll die on this hill, was the players. What happened in Sassuolo was the players. That was not Max Allegri, all right? Jesus. Let's see. It's like Max has done something personal to you guys. Hey, I don't know. Reno, if he's done something personal to you, I take it back. Okay? But seriously, what happened against Sassuolo, I'll die on this hill. And I got flack, and a lot of people came at me, and some subs left because I said it wasn't on Max. Hey, change my opinion. Don't get upset about me for mine, but come at me with yours and change my opinion. Some people have changed my opinion. Do so. Do so. Okay? And this is another point too from Swarit. There's a lot of positives coming out of the 4 games. A lot of positives. And the shift in styles that we're seeing, again, I think it is more front-footed than it was last season by a country mile. The amount of opportunities, the percentage of opportunities that we're getting now inside the area versus last season it's astronomical in comparison. We can't forget about these things, okay? But it's the blackouts. It's the blackouts that happen. We'll get it. We'll get it right. I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna have hope, because without that, it's nothing. What are we doing then? Why bother watching if you have no hope? Why bother watching? For me, I'll always have the hope, and I know, 1,000%. It's not if Juventus will ever return, because you can never kill Juventus. It's when Juventus will return to the Juve we know. But you know what? I don't think we can beat around it anymore, that the quality in the roster needs to be strengthened. I think it's on full display. When we start talking about world-class players at Juventus, who are you going to put as world-class? Who are you going to put as world-class? Federico Chiesa, I will put as world-class. And I know that people had doubts and said, well, you can't consider him now for current form. No. He's a world-class player. Okay? He's efficient at his job, and he's direct, he's strong, and he can be a catalyst. For me, he's world-class. I had Tech in there as world-class, and you know what? made a mistake there, because you can't have blunders like that. And I'm starting to think kind of along the same lines as Omer. When we need him badly, he usually isn't there. But world class, I think we have a couple other guys that are close to it. Outside of Case, that's it. So can we honestly not say that the roster needs work? You can't say that. When you're at Juventus and you've got maybe one world-class player, yeah, the roster's going to need work. Does that affect the mentality? Absolutely it does. Quality will help mentality. Consistency? I think consistency, regardless of quality, needs to be worked on and can be found. Okay? I don't think you need to be this world-class player in order to just be consistent. I don't think that's true, because you have lesser teams that perform to their capabilities consistently without world-class players. So I kind of separate the two. And Juve's kind of got a little bit of everything going on. We have a little bit of a mentality work that needs to be done. We have major consistency work that needs to be done. We've seen that in the first 5 games. We got a little work at everything. Quality of the roster needs to be done, but we all know where it stands, and we needed a mercado, unfortunately, like we had last, which is clean the books up so that moving forward, you can boost that roster, okay? So what we have to do right now, we have to be patient. We have to be patient, hope that the young guys that we have and the crew that we have now can grow, mold into a spine, and as we correct the books, as we move forward, bring in solid contributors with some actual quality, okay? That's what we got to do, and we got to be some patient. Unfortunately, Swarit, there will be no watch along today. I will be heading to work, okay? Depending on what happens with the girls and whatnot today. But either way, I would not be able, unfortunately, to do a watch along, okay? I will be watching. I will be on social media, on Twitter and whatnot, commenting through the game. Even if I am at work, I'll put my little 2 cents in here and there. Hopefully, we can mix it up there, all right? Everybody, again, let's see what happens. We need a big reaction. Hopefully, the team can bring it for us, okay, and bring it home. Tomorrow, we are going to be live for the post-match podcast at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and hopefully we have a victory to talk about, okay? Everybody, enjoy the match. Let's see how Juventus reacts. I thank you all. Please like the video on your way out, and thank you again, everybody, taking the time to wish my daughters a speedy recovery. Appreciate it, and I hope to see you all tomorrow, and hopefully we have a victory Wednesday where we could talk about Juve getting back in the win column against Lecce, all right? We'll talk to you all soon and see you all tomorrow morning. Again, much love for being here and appreciate all the support. Fino alla fine, Forza Juve, get the job done. Beat Lecce, all right? Come on. Oh, and I also forgot, we joined up with Top FC Radio, all right? So, your man bringing you your calcio reviews week in, week out. This guy right here. The latest one's out on YouTube, okay? Top FC Radio. And if you just want to tune into the audio, you can go to Top FC Radio and check out the calcio review from your man, Alberto, okay? Thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Come on, Juve. Get it done. Let's go. Fagioli. Eyes on Fagioli today. And, of course, Federico Chiesa. Let's go. Bring it home, lads. Bring it home.
Yeah.